Hello, and welcome to the new Rules for Negotiating 10-Minute Learning Series, a short but comprehensive series of contract negotiation webinars, specifically designed for people who negotiate complex customer-supplier agreements. You should have in front of you Chapter 6 from my new Rules for Negotiating manual and a Tradeoff Matrix. If you don't have those, please go back to the download page to get your copy. I'm Jeanette Neiden. I am the author and/or co-author of 3 books, including Getting to We, The Vested Outsourcing Manual, and Negotiation Rules. I work with supply chain professionals to maximize key customer-supplier relationships by providing tactical, customized contract negotiation, training, and coaching. I work from the planning phase all the way through to execution. Let's talk about trade-offs. This builds off of the conversation we had in the last learning session on setting a target price. So once you establish your target price, it's time to outline your trade-offs. Trade-offs are an important part of the deal process because it is about an exchange of value, the perception of value, that the customer values the trade-off the supplier is giving it, and the supplier values the trade-off that the customer is giving it. Now, ideally, trade-offs should satisfy your organization's needs while simultaneously satisfying the other company's needs. Now, sometimes trade-offs can backfire, and things that were good trade-offs last time could be a bad trade-off or an ineffective trade-off this time. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so this is a version of an email that prompted an engagement with one of my clients. Quote, Bob, I called ABC supplier to see where our XYZ parts are, and they told me that we'll get them in 3 weeks. They said the PO gave them a 15-week lead time, but my materials manager put in the requisition more than 12 weeks ago and said we needed it by last Friday. We have only a 3-week buffer. Our client will hit us with an invoice credit, quote unquote, penalty if we don't deliver on time. Can you see what you can do to get us these parts ASAP? Now, Bob is a mid-level manager in a purchasing department, and he was pretty frustrated when he learned that one of his team members had sacrificed price for lead time. So when I got involved, I wanted to understand why that trade-off was made. So this is what I learned through interviews. First, the buyer said, well, I thought I was doing the right thing to drive down the price, and the supplier said he could give me my target price if I could hold off for a couple of weeks. It's never been a problem before. So here's the first indication. I just have a buyer who has the same go-to trade-offs day in and day out and never understands the impact of a particular trade-off on a particular buy. Then the buyer went on to say, well, the lead times and the requisitions are always inflated, so I know we have wiggle room to negotiate. So I don't know if that's true or if that fact, quote unquote, fact has ever been verified or not, but that was also one of the underlying themes behind this ineffective trade-off. Another really important, predominant feeling within the buying team was this thought. We're measured on price savings. No one ever tells us about what operations needs or wants, just what we need to target this quarter. So this is an issue on the sales side. Is free stuff a trade-off? So I hope some of you are laughing because a young salesperson came up to me after a training session and asked me the following scenario. The salesperson said, okay, so my team wants me to give potential customers free project management time because sometimes we have project managers who are not that busy. And so we want to make it look like our people are super busy. So Jeanette, if I give a potential customer, project management time when they're not asking for it, is that a good trade-off to close the deal? So I sort of paused and I thought, well, I'm not sure if that's a good trade-off, but it's a fantastic question. And it's a fantastic question because the salesperson gets it. It's all about his company and what his company wants to do. And it has nothing to do with what the customer wants or what the customer, more importantly, needs from his company. So because it isn't about what the customer needs, it doesn't have that value component that you need to be an effective trade-off. It's not going to be valued by the customer, even if they sort of want it, and it gets thrown in for free because they don't actually need it. So it's not an effective trade-off. Okay, so what is your key to success? Your key to making successful trade-offs is going to be your ability to stack, rank, and prioritize. Stack, ranking, and prioritization are not the same. So a stack rank is the order. First, I'm going to offer this, and then I'm going to offer this. Where a priority identifies your company's needs and seeks to identify your counterpart's needs. Now, priorities are interesting because there is one common priority for everybody, and that is price, profit, and value. So, for example, all companies want to make a profit. So suppliers, when they're selling, obviously want to make a profit. But sometimes what the purchasing department misses is that purchasing has a price point variance, PPV, to help their companies make a profit. So profit really is a driving priority in all complex customer-supplier negotiations. Price is part of it and value is part of it. It only looks like it's a problem because buyers are standing on one side of the coin and the suppliers are standing on the other side of the coin. So they look like they're on opposite sides, but it's the same coin. Every company, unless it's a not-for-profit, is out to make a profit. So now that we understand that we want all companies to make profits, how do we make good trades? How does it work? So this is how it works. What we do is a 3-step process. First, you list all your available trade-offs. This prevents your people from having the same go-to trade-off like lead time or additional services and not realize the broader list or availability of trade-offs to make a good, profitable deal. Second, you identify your needs. Third, you choose what you want to offer and put them in order. My first offer, my second offer, my third offer. It is the combination of these 3 steps: listing all available trade-offs, identifying your needs, and choosing what you want to offer that is your stack ranking and prioritization process. Now, the tool that I use is a Tradeoff Matrix. This tool starts by identifying goals. See, if the buyer had used this tool and had identified the goal around lead time, he would not have been so willing to trade off lead time for price. Had the salesperson used this particular chart when discussing throwing in free project management time with the team that was pressuring him to do that, he would have realized that that wasn't the appropriate goal for clients who don't need it. And if a client needs it, they're likely going to put it into an RFP. So it's really important to start by identifying the goals. It will help you with the stack ranking and prioritization. Then you go through each one of these 4 questions. Every one of my clients has had one of these questions that has prompted additional questions. Either the sales team needs to go back to the customer, or the customer has to go back to the sales team, or someone has to go back internally to get more information. And that's the brilliance of asking questions, because you want to ask these questions internally as much as possible before you get into a negotiation. You don't want to be figuring this out while you're negotiating on price. So if you'd like to know a little bit more about stack ranking and prioritizing, go to my SSON column. I am one of their communication culture columnists. The title of the article is "How Good Are Your Negotiators at Making Trade-Offs?" If you have any questions, comments, or concerns about an upcoming negotiation, set up a time to talk to me. I'd be happy to work with you. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.